And we are recording.
Great, thanks, Emily. Hi, our staff are gonna just do some quick introductions. I'm Jason Bocut. I am the Community Programs and Performing Arts Manager for the Utah Division of Arts and Museums.
Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Alyssa Hickman Grove. I am working in the communications program at the Division of Arts and Museums, and I also oversee our literary arts program. And this is the first year that we have been including the literary arts in our long-running artist fellowship, and I'm so excited to be able to offer this opportunity to writers, novelists, poets, all kinds of writers around the state. Very exciting. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Hay. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator for the division. I'll be doing my best to answer any questions around visual art applications, as well as design art applications as it applies to the visual arts fields. So I'm excited for all of you to be signed up. I think this is a record number of folks in this, and excited to see your applications.
And I've already introduced myself at the beginning, but I'll do it again just in case we have any new people who have joined. My name is Emily Starr. I'm the admin assistant for Utah Division of Arts and Museums, and I am your tech maven and helper today. So if you have any tech issues, please send me a personal chat. And it looks like I'm going to start sharing my screen. And Alyssa, take it away.
Okay, so it's very likely that most of you have already visited our website to get information about the fellowship, but just in case, we wanted to give you a quick briefing on how to get to our fellowship webpage. So you're on our site, artsandmuseums.utah.gov. We have what we call a carousel of squares at the top of the page. That middle one is for Utah Artist Fellowship. So one way to get very quickly to the page is to click on that image, click on the button that says Learn More, and that will get you right there. The page is also listed under opportunities. If you hover on opportunities, it's the bottom item, Utah Artist Fellowship Program. That also gets you to the Utah Artist Fellowship Program page, and you'll know you're in the right place when you see an actor wearing a mask, a photographer taking a photo, and a writer reading from his book. Take it away, Peter.
Great, thanks, Alyssa. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about the fellowship. So the Utah Artist Fellowship is a $5,000 unrestricted award. So what that means is this is not a grant. There's no final report after this. This is money that if you are selected to be acknowledged through this award, the $5,000 can be used how you see fit. It is awarded to artists demonstrating exceptional creativity in their field. And it's chosen by out-of-state jurors. So us internally are not making the selections. It's done by the jurors that you'll see at the bottom of this webpage. Some of the things to remember is that you are expected to demonstrate why now is an appropriate time in your career for this one-time award, and that this is selected through the open application process. So all of the applications receive equal consideration through a 2-round review process. So we do a pre-screening to make sure everybody's eligible, that everybody meets the general guideline requirements, and then it goes on to the juror review. This year's categories are design arts, literary arts, performing arts, theater, specifically in the performing arts, and then visual arts.
So we want to look at eligibility as well. And some of this is just going to feel like we're just reading right from the information you can read, but it kind of is the point of these information sessions. And then, of course, there's going to be time for Q&A. So basics: must be 25 years of age or older at the time of the deadline. You must be the originator of the work samples you submit. However, in terms of performing arts, it's not like you're going to be creating the Shakespeare piece. So it will be an interpretation of that, but it will be your work. You must be a Utah resident for 2 consecutive years immediately prior to the application deadline. If you have ever received this fellowship in the past, you cannot receive it again. This is a one-time award. We must be able to make a vendor number for you with the state, which means it requires that you have an ability to have a US tax ID number. You will be responsible for the taxes if you receive the fellowship. Individuals enrolled in an undergraduate or graduate degree in art or a degree in the field related to their art are not eligible to apply. This is for mid-career to professional theater artists that are in their career, not at the very beginning and finishing their trainings. Artist teams are not allowed. This is an individual application. And if you are immediate family member or board member to our agency or a board member, you are not able to apply. So there are some design arts, literary arts, performing arts, and visual arts about who can apply, and in visual arts as well. I'm not going to go through each of these, and I think that might be a place for questions at the end. But definitely look at these things.
Okay, so selection criteria, moving down the page if you're playing along at home. To be considered, the applicants need to have created a substantial and independent body of work over at least a 5-year professional arts career. And as Jason touched on a minute ago, work produced while pursuing an accredited degree is not applicable toward the 5-year period. We want 5 years of work that you have created outside of graduate school or university work that you have been creating as a professional working artist or writer. You need to have made a recognized contribution to your discipline through public presentation of your work, demonstrate a consistent level of artistic ability throughout your career, and provide evidence of continued commitment to serious exploration of your art form. We, as Peter mentioned, pre-screen the submissions just to make sure that they're eligible, making sure that you have followed the instructions and that you fit the eligibility requirements and that you've adhered to the guidelines that we've published. And if you have an issue with your submission and it's before the deadline for submitting, we will contact you and give you the opportunity to rectify whatever that issue might be. Maybe we can't access one of your links to one of your work samples or whatever it might be, but we are not accepting late applications. And then after the pre-screen, we move the submissions over to the out-of-state fellowship jurors, who you can see who those jurors are if you scroll further down on the website, and they will review the eligible applications and make the decisions.
Great. And the next thing we wanted to talk about a little bit was the timeline. So the application is currently open. So you can jump in and take a look at the application. And you can also take your time to submit a little bit. The application closes on March 7th. The thing to remember is that it closes at 5 p.m. So if you have questions, please reach out in the days prior to the 7th or during the day of the 7th, just before 5 p.m. We have it close at 5 p.m. just so that we are actively available up until the deadline. So just keep that in mind. Many applications are due at 11:59. This one is not. And then artists will be notified via Submittable on April 18th. So be sure to keep an eye out for the email coming from Submittable, not from one of our state addresses.
Accessibility, if you are in need of any kind of an accommodation for applying for this, we have got an accommodation, disability accessibility accommodation form. You click on that link, it will open this up. You would fill this out and submit. Please do this at least 2 weeks prior to deadline to give us the best opportunity to provide the accommodation that's needed. And then professional development workshops. We will be creating 2 professional development workshops that's going to be available to anyone who applies for the fellowship. And that's just to increase individual artists' professionalism. We often do one on taxes for individual artists, which is great, but we'll be developing those both and we'll make sure you're aware of them.
Great. So now we're going to jump over to the actual application. Emily, if you could show them where to click to apply. There we are. And there it is in our profile. Also, small plug, Statewide Annual is open for applications at the moment as well. So you'll have to make an account through Submittable. This is separate from any other state accounts that you might have. And oftentimes, when there's issues logging in, so this information here in the first page that you see in the dropdown, it'll give you information on how to, if you're having issues with the software itself, that's not something we can necessarily help with, so you'll have to reach out to Submittable. If it's a question about the application content, then we can help you with that. But if it's, a technical issue with the actual program, then you'll have to reach out to Submittable directly. Great. You want to scroll down a little bit, Emily? So at first, the top of the application is mainly all about you, about your general information. Please fill in all the information accurately so we are able to contact you and verify that you're a resident. And then there's the acknowledgement. So please read through this this section to understand what you're agreeing to, and then click that you not acknowledge. You can select your artistic discipline. So we've had several people ask us if they can apply in more than one category. The answer is yes, you can, but you need to create a separate individual application for each category. So if you, say, are an artist that makes theater and visual art, you need to submit in both categories separately. There would be 2 applications. If you'll scroll down, you can see there's the artist bio. So this is a professional bio, generally written in the third person. You want to include your medium a little bit, a few nuggets about your theme and your art practice, art-related education, awards, significant past or current projects. I kind of see this as, like, if you're applying for a job, the cover letter. This is a really good spot to just kind of talk about yourself and your artistic practice specifically. Emily has a link to help, or a little information about writing an artist bio or a bio that she'll drop in the chat. Thank you, Emily. The next thing is an artist statement. So an artist statement is generally written in the first person, describing your practice. This is where you dig in a little bit deeper to what your artistic practice is. And, the things that really make it special, the things that you want the juror to know about your process, or how your artwork comes about. The last part, and Emily actually has, just dropped it in the artist statement, how to as well. The last thing is the description of intent. So this is where you get to tell the juror why this is the correct time in your career trajectory to receive this award. So as we mentioned, or as you can see in the general overview, this is really not an award to launch a young artist, and it's really not meant to be a career achievement award. This is really designed to be acknowledgement of artists and creators that are in the midst of their career. The thing I will mention, the thing we open the applications up for editing most often for, is not putting in enough words. So as you can see, there's the maximum amount of words. There's also a minimum. So oftentimes artists will not meet that 300 word minimum. And we really do want you all to be on the same platform and have the same amount of representation to the jurors. So if you do not put in enough words to meet that minimum, we will reach out to you and open your application up for editing and ask you to make the fix. If you scroll down a little bit, there's also the artist CV resume upload. Notice that there is a page limit, 6 pages maximum for this. That is a maximum, so don't feel like you have to have a 6-page CV or resume. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us. Emily dropped a link in there about artist CVs and resumes that you can also reference. There's also an optional artist website social media profile. So this is a good chance to offer a little bit more portfolio information outside of the artwork samples. Before I go on any further, Jason or Alyssa, do you have anything else to add to those sections?
Actually, I would just mention that there are 10 opportunities to upload work samples because the visual arts and design arts categories are requesting 10 work samples. However, for performing arts, theater, and for literary arts, we are requesting a maximum of 5 work samples and a minimum of 5. In other words, we would like 5 work samples. So even though there are 10 places where you could fill in, information for 10 different work samples, we really just want 5 if you are submitting in literary arts or performing arts theater. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's a great segue into the work samples section here, and it is a really good to note. So do not upload more than the required or the asked for number of samples. I've had questions already about each work sample needs to be individual as well. So we will open your application back up. For example, if you submit 3 individual artworks, but you have multiple detail images uploaded into the work sample, it really needs to be for the 5 required for performing arts or literature, or the 10 required for visual arts and design. They need to be unique work samples. So if you, for example, have a work that's a little more complicated, like an installation piece or a large sculpture, and you want to be able to represent that from multiple angles or multiple detailed images, you can create like a PDF portfolio of that work and upload it as one individual work sample, and that's a great way to represent the piece. If you scroll down just a little bit, I wanted to also point out, be sure to label your artwork samples properly. So you can see, if you scroll back up just a tiny bit there, please ensure the file names of the images are uploaded to correspond with the titles listed below. So please do make sure that you have the work samples numbered so the jurors can easily be able to tell that the work sample aligns with the work sample information as numbered. It just helps the juror be able to understand what you're trying to communicate to them. As you can see, if you scroll down, there's an optional video sample link. This is really handy if you're doing digital design, for example. You could put in a website that you've created. It's also really great for the performing arts, where you can put in your video links for work samples there as well. It says work sample optional description. It is optional. You're not required to fill out every single of the 5 or 10 descriptions, but I would encourage you to put something in there to help the juror know a little bit more about what it is you're making and why. And there are 10 total, so as Alyssa mentioned, be sure that you're hitting the correct number for your category. And last but not least, please tell us how you found out about the fellowship, because that helps us to understand how to reach future audience. Jason or Alyssa, do you have anything else to add about work samples? Yeah.
I do. If Emily, will you please scroll up to keep going? So if you are going to be uploading a work sample, you do it by clicking this choose file here. So you would find the work sample you wanted to do. As Peter mentioned, make sure it's like work sample 1, title, work, and then you would go down below to the work sample 1, and that's where you would put in the title you completed. And so that's how those things correlate. If you are just doing, if you are just going to submit like videos from YouTube of your work, you do not need to do any uploading. So it does not need to be both. If you're going to do an upload of a file, that's fine. But if you are just going to put in some YouTube links, just put in the video sample link. So hopefully that's clear. You'll see that there is a required button. There's a required word for work samples 1 through 5. And then once we get to 6, that disappears, because at that point, the only people that need to do that are design and visual arts. So there's a slightly weird thing. If you are applying for both theater as a design artist, as a theater design artist, and design, those have to be 2 different applications. One is going to require five work samples. The other will require 10. We accept this as strange, but it is going to completely different jurors. One will be from a design a mindset, and so we want to have them see all of that just from design. The other one would go to a theater juror, and we need to follow what we've put out there in terms of the guidelines. All right,
And I
Alyssa,
think
Peter,
that,
anything else?
like, the 2 main things that we generally open applications up for is the work samples are not correct, or the links are not correct, or the information does not align properly. That work sample is generally that, and then the word counts. Those are the 2 things that we send the most applications back for editing for. So just pay particular attention to those when you're putting your application together. There's quite a bit you can do prior to even jumping in and adding information to Submittable to prepare to make the actual application process quicker and easier.
We're going to actually stop recording, but I want one question put in the recording, and it's from Beto. Does this website allow for saving progress, or is this having to be done in one sitting? And Peter, it's best if you answer that.
Sure, yes, you definitely can save your application as a draft. So you can get started and jump in and work on that for as long as you want, and then save it as a draft. Also, if you accidentally hit submit, for example, like you click submit instead of save draft, and we get the application and you're panicked, don't panic. Just reach out to us. We can open it back up for editing and then give you the rest of the time until the deadline to edit your application. So we're here to help support and ask questions or answer questions, or work with you through the application as much as needed until the deadline.
And I think final thing I would say is, please submit your application as soon as possible. Do not wait, because if there are problems, it's going to really create issues with us getting information to the jurors. So please submit as soon as possible. All right, let's stop recording.